What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So with the conclusion of The Flash Season 9, today we're going to be ranking all 9 graphic novels on The Flash. So yeah, guys, just go ahead and get right into it. So coming in at number 9, and the worst graphic novel on The Flash, 100% in my opinion, has to be the God Complex graphic novel. Of course, this one lasted from Season 7, Episode 4 until Season 7, Episode 11. This one was just straight up terrible. Of course, this was the Force's storyline one, where the Speed Force, or I guess you could say Speed Force Nora, was the main villain. There were so many things wrong with this one. First of all, Speed Force Nora as a main villain is just stupid. The fact that there's a Speed Force avatar that's not Barry is just, as I said, stupid. The fact that they called the Forces Barry and Iris's kids and were literally referring to them as their family is just idiotic and so cringe. Another way to describe the writing, as per usual for Eric Wallace, very, very cringe in this storyline. And yeah, there wasn't really much that was actually good besides some cool scenes when Psyche was actually a villain in episode 5. Those were actually pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, this storyline was just straight up terrible. So now coming in at number 8, I have Rogue War. This was the storyline that, of course, lasted from Season 9, Episode 1 until Season 9, Episode 5. This is the Red Death storyline, and this storyline was... it was really, really bad, I'm not going to lie. I mean, there was like a cool fight scene between the Flash and Red Death in the finale, but Red Death, is without the mask on especially, is just such an awful villain. The actress that plays Ryan Wilder, or, you know, plays Batwoman, is terrible when it comes to playing a villain. It was so cringe. The writing was awful, and Red Death just was not anywhere near the hype. It was just, they tried to bring back old characters, like they brought back the Hotness for whatever reason, and a bunch of other random rogues that, you know, they weren't even like the best rogues on the Flash. They could have brought back like Leonard Snart or, you know, Weather Wizard, Tricksters, those characters, but instead they brought back some pretty irrelevant characters. So that was kind of disappointing right there. And then, of course, you had just a ton of stuff we didn't care about, like the Keown stuff, the Chester and Allegra stuff. Nobody cares about that. And, you know, this season 9, was really not about Barry, which was really disappointing. So, yeah, Rogue War, the Red Death stuff just wasn't really that good anywhere in the season. I mean, one thing I did like, that one scene where Barry used the cosmic treadmill, that was really cool in season, or I believe it was episode 4 of Season 9. But yeah, other than that, there's not much that's really that good about Rogue War. So now at number 7, I have Reflections and Lies. Of course, this is the Mirror Monarch storyline that lasted from Season 6, Episode 10 until Season 7, Episode 3. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking, a lot of you guys have this maybe at your number 9, like your last, like the worst graphic novel. The reason I think it's actually not as bad as people think. By the way, the rest of these graphic novels I think are at least watchable. This one I believe is watchable just because, you know, while there was the Mirror Monarch stuff, which was really, really boring, you know, toward the end of Season 6, there was tons of other stuff going on, you know, following the fallout of Crisis on Infinite Earths. There was a Godspeed episode, which is actually really good. There was a Reverse Flash storyline. There was a Grodd episode, you know, just tons of stuff like that. You know, Kid Flash returned. All that was really cool. Death of the Speed Force, you know, all that stuff. So, you know, while that isn't exactly a part of that graphic novel of the Mirror Monarch stuff, it still took place during the Mirror Monarch stuff, so I'm going to count that, and that's why it's not exactly the worst on my list. And then in Season 7, the first couple of episodes were actually not bad, but then Episode 3 was pretty bad. So yeah, Reflections and Lies comes in at number 7. So now at number 6, I have the Godspeed Imperative, and I'm actually surprised it's this high, seeing as how cringe Godspeed was. The writing for Godspeed was just terrible, and the fact that Godspeed was only a villain for like half an episode is ridiculous. He's got to be a villain for, I don't know, 5, 6 episodes, something like that. They had interlude episodes in Season 7, and yeah, they just needed more time with Godspeed. Of course, this graphic novel lasted from Season 7, Episode 15 until Episode 18. So yeah, this graphic novel is extremely disappointing. The reason it's this high, though, is because of all the returning characters and the random stuff that I didn't expect, like Reverse Flash coming in out of nowhere, and saving Barry and helping him defeat Godspeed, and then, you know, turning on him the next second. That was totally random. You had Bart and Nora, you know, obviously Bart's first introduction. I thought that was actually pretty cool. And it just didn't feel like it was like an awful storyline. I mean, yeah, it was bad, but it wasn't awful. So yeah, I think, you know, the Godspeed Imperative is just a tiny bit underrated, not that underrated to the point where it's actually good, but it's still pretty bad, and it comes in at number 6. Now, number 5, I have A New World. Of course, this is the last graphic novel we ever got on The Flash. It lasted from Season 9, Episode 10 until Season 9, Episode 13, the series finale. And I know a lot of guys are thinking, you're like, why is this one so high? And it's just because of Season 9, Episode 10, and kind of a little bit that Eddie Thawne was Cobalt Blue, which I actually really thought was, pretty cool, even though his writing wasn't that good and his storyline just wasn't amazing in general. I still thought it was cool they brought him back, though. Anyways, Season 9, Episode 10 absolutely carries this graphic novel. Of course, it's probably the most important episode of the show. Barry going back to that night, fighting Reverse Flash. This episode was absolutely amazing. It's the only reason why this graphic novel is so high. I guess there was a couple of cool speedster fight scenes in this graphic novel other than in this episode, but Season 9, Episode 10 really carries this graphic novel, and that's why it's so high. I don't even want to get into the series finale or, the last episode of this graphic novel. It was just terrible. The villains being defeated by the side characters is the worst idea I've ever seen, and it just did not work at all. I don't even want to get into the terrible characters of the show, but yeah, like I said, the only reason it's this high is because of Season 9, Episode 10, so A New World comes in at number 5. So now, number 4, I have the Death Revisited graphic novel. This one lasted from Season 8, Episode 8 until Season 8, Episode 14, and this is when they actually start to kind of get good. This one, I thought Deathstorm was a fantastic villain. The only thing I really did not like about him was that, first of all, we didn't get to see him that much, and second of all, he was more of a Frost villain. He wasn't really a Flash villain. That's the one thing I absolutely despise about the storyline, is that they had like, during the final fight with Deathstorm, they had Barry, like, being like Cisco, or Chester, just sitting behind the computer and watching Frost fight Deathstorm. They made up some lame excuse as to how Barry isn't able to fight him, which is just stupid. I mean, the fact that the Flash isn't even in the final battle is just dumb, in my opinion. But yeah, other than that, I thought this graphic novel was pretty good. Some of the episodes did get a little boring here and there, but I guess it worked out still. The inclusion of Ronnie Raymond into the storyline, sort of teasing the fans that Ronnie Raymond was actually returning. I thought that was really cool. Another thing I really liked about it, they actually incorporated one of the main characters into the storyline, that of course being Caitlin. Caitlin was a really big focus in the storyline. They didn't focus as much on Cecile, Allegra, and Chester, which I really did like. So yeah, Death Revisited comes in at number 4. Now, coming in at number 3, I have It's All Negative. Of course, this was the last episode, or the last graphic novel of The Flash Season 8, lasting from Season 8, Episode 17 until Season 8, Episode 20. And I actually did not hate this one. I know a lot of you guys like that, or did not like this, but I thought it was pretty good. Now, the only reason I have it this high is because, number 1, Matt Letcher, of course, returned in this graphic novel, which was so cool to see. He was playing Eobard Thawne. Of course, he was playing a good version of Eobard Thawne. Now, a lot of you guys have mixed opinions on him playing a good version of Eobard Thawne. I don't love it. I also don't hate it. I don't hate the idea of him playing a good version of Eobard Thawne, especially because he did return in Season 9, so I don't actually hate that. I think, first of all, the scene where Matt Letcher rips his own face off to reveal Tom Cavanaugh's Reverse Flash. While a lot of people were disappointed by that scene, I still thought that was a really cool scene. And then, of course, you had Barry killing Iris himself. Well, at least it appeared that he killed Iris himself. That's a really underrated master plan, I guess. Even if it wasn't Thawne's master plan, I thought it was still a really cool scene and a really good master plan for, I guess, the negative forces. But yeah, I didn't actually think this graphic novel here was too bad. Mina Dowin was a pretty decent speedster, I guess, even if she did look kind of ridiculous in her suit. But yeah, It's All Negative. Of course, the finale of this was pretty bad. We're just going to kind of ignore that because the first couple episodes before the finale I thought were amazing, honestly. But yeah, the finale was just straight up terrible. The one thing that does stay consistent through the finale is the rivalry between Barry and Thawne. It's off the charts here, even if the final fight was just idiotic. I don't know why they did the things they did in the final fight. But yeah, I thought the rivalry between Barry and Thawne was still amazing. So yeah, It's All Negative comes in at number 3. And at number 2, I have Armageddon. Now, Armageddon is fantastic. Of course, you had so many returning characters like Ray Palmer, Reverse Flash, of course, returned. You had Batwoman, Alex Danvers, just a ton of random characters. Ryan Choi was even in it. So yeah, I didn't think that was too bad. Now, Armageddon, Despero was a pretty cool villain. He was just sort of outshined by the Reverse Flash, which I don't exactly hate. I think it did work still. Barry forgetting that Joe died just because Thawne changed the timeline, I thought was so cool. It was such a great scene. And yeah, the finale of this graphic novel, of course, Armageddon lasted from season 8, episode 1 to season 8, episode 5. In episode 5, you had Reverse Flash asking for Barry's help because Reverse Flash is getting erased from existence. I don't understand that. It's like Eric Wallace forgets that Eobard Thawne is a scientist from the future and he needs Barry's help to solve that problem. I don't understand that. Like, why can't Thawne just solve it himself? He's literally a genius. So yeah, that's kind of ridiculous to me, in my opinion. And I also don't exactly like the new Thawne suit, the new Reverse Flash suit. I think it would be a lot more better if it vibrated. That would have looked so cool, and had the red eyes, of course. But yeah, overall, Armageddon I thought was a really fun sort of kind of last crossover for the Arrowverse. And yeah, they did focus on the Flash a lot in this as well. Thawne, doing the whole Reverse Flashpoint thing where he becomes the Flash, Barry becomes the Reverse Flash, I thought was so awesome. So yeah, Armageddon comes in at number 2. And at number 1, of course, is the Blood and Truth storyline. This one lasted from season 6, episode 1 to season 6, episode 8. This is, of course, the Ramsey Rosso Bloodwork stuff. And this was almost perfect. This was such a great graphic novel. Ramsey Rosso is such an amazing villain. His return in season 9, like I said, is absolutely amazing. And yeah, the one scene, or the one episode rather, The Last Temptation of Barry Allen Part 1 is top 5 episode of all time, in my opinion. And just Bloodwork being a villain, he's such a scary and threatening villain, all of that leading up to Crisis on Infinite Earths, which happened in episode 9, and then of course across the multiverse, which I thought just worked perfectly because Ramsey just used that to his advantage, and it was amazing. I love this graphic novel, and yeah, it comes in at number 1. But anyways, I'd say that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this video down below, as well as your own ranking of your Flash graphic novels ranked. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.